In a faraway village surrounded by mountains, there was a family that was different from the others. They had a daughter named Zira, and from the day she was born, everyone knew she was special. Zira wasn't like the other children in the village. She had something no one had ever seen before. Zira was born with wings. Not just any wings. These were large, strong wings like those of an eagle. They were golden brown and shimmered in the sunlight. From the moment Zira opened her eyes, people whispered about her. Some said she was a gift from the gods, while others feared that she was cursed. Zira's parents, Layla and Juma, were surprised but filled with love for their daughter. They didn't care what others thought. Zira was their child, and they would protect her no matter what. As Zira grew older, her wings grew with her. By the time she was 5 years old, her wings were as long as her arms, and they flapped gently behind her as she walked. Zira didn't understand why she was different. The other children in the village sometimes stared at her, and some even made fun of her wings. She felt lonely, wishing she could be like everyone else. But her mother, Layla, always reminded her of how special she was. "Zira," her mother said one day, "you were born with wings because you are meant to soar. Don't let anyone make you feel small." Zira loved her mother's words, but deep down she wished she could understand why she had wings. She didn't know how to use them. She had never flown before, and the thought of trying scared her. What if she wasn't strong enough? What if she fell? One day, when Zira was about 8 years old, something strange happened. She was playing near the river, watching the water flow gently, when she heard a loud cry from the sky. She looked up and saw a giant eagle flying overhead. Its wings were wide, and it moved through the air so smoothly that Zira couldn't take her eyes off it. The eagle circled above her, and for a moment, Zira felt as if it was watching her. Her heart began to race, and she felt something inside her stir. Her wings, which had always just hung behind her, suddenly fluttered. Without thinking, Zira spread her wings wide. She felt the wind catch under them, and for the first time, she felt her feet lift slightly off the ground. It was only for a second, but in that moment, Zira felt something she had never felt before: freedom. She landed back on the ground, her heart beating fast. She looked up again, but the eagle was gone. It had disappeared into the sky, leaving Zira with questions she couldn't answer. "Why do I have wings?" Zira asked herself quietly. "What am I meant to do with them?" Her parents saw the change in Zira that evening. She seemed quiet, lost in her thoughts. Her father, Juma, sat beside her and placed his hand gently on her wings. "You felt it, didn't you?" he asked, his voice soft. "The power inside you." Zira nodded slowly. "I don't know what it is, Father, but I think I'm supposed to fly." Juma smiled. "One day, Zira, you will. And when that day comes, you'll understand everything." Zira didn't know when that day would come, but she knew her life was about to change. Zira couldn't stop thinking about the eagle she had seen. Every night she dreamed of flying high in the sky, feeling the wind under her wings. But she was still afraid. What if she wasn't ready? What if she fell? One day, her father, Juma, came to her with a serious look on his face. "Zira," he said, "it's time for you to learn. The elders of the village want to see what you can do. They believe your wings are a sign. Maybe you are meant for something great." Zira's heart pounded. The village elders were wise, and they didn't call on people without a reason. She was nervous, but also excited. Was this her chance to learn how to fly? Juma led Zira to a high hill outside the village. From the top, she could see the entire village below and the mountains in the distance. The wind blew gently around her, and her wings moved with the breeze. The village elders were already there, waiting. They watched her quietly as she stood at the edge of the hill. Her mother, Layla, was there too, watching from a distance. Zira could see the worry in her mother's eyes, but she also saw pride. "Zira," one of the elders said, "you are not like anyone else in this village. You were born with wings for a reason. Today, we want to see what you can do." Zira nodded, feeling the weight of their words. She stepped closer to the edge of the hill, her wings trembling behind her. She knew what they wanted her to do. They wanted her to jump, to trust her wings and fly. But Zira was scared. What if she couldn't do it? What if she fell and hurt herself? "Remember, Zira," her father said softly from behind her. "You are stronger than you know. You just have to believe in yourself." Zira took a deep breath. She spread her wings wide, feeling the air lift them slightly. She closed her eyes, imagining the eagle she had seen before. She remembered how free it looked, how strong. Could she be like that eagle? With one final breath, Zira stepped off the edge of the hill. For a moment, she felt nothing but air around her. Her heart raced and fear gripped her. But then her wings caught the wind. They stretched out fully, and she felt herself lift. Zira opened her eyes. She was flying. The ground below her became smaller as she soared higher into the sky. Her wings moved naturally, guiding her through the air. The wind rushed past her face, and for the first time in her life, Zira felt truly free. The village elders watched in amazement as Zira flew above them. Her father smiled proudly, and her mother wiped away tears of joy. Zira circled above the hill, her wings gliding smoothly through the air. She felt strong and powerful, just like the eagle. The fear she had felt before was gone. Now, all she felt was happiness. After a few moments, Zira gently lowered herself back down to the ground. Her feet touched the earth, and her wings folded behind her. The elders clapped their hands, impressed by what they had seen. "You did it, Zira," her father said, pulling her into a hug. "I knew you could." Zira smiled, but inside she still had questions. She had flown, but what did it mean? Why was she given wings? What was she meant to do with them? Before she could ask, one of the elders stepped forward. "Zira, your wings are not just for flying. They are a gift, but also a responsibility. The spirits of the mountains have chosen you for a reason. You must find out why." Zira nodded, feeling the weight of their words. She knew her journey was just beginning. After her first flight, Zira felt a new sense of purpose. She knew her wings were special, and she wanted to understand their meaning. The village elders had told her that the spirits of the mountains had chosen her for a reason. But what could that reason be? The next day, Zira went to visit the wise elder, Mama Tanda. She was known for her knowledge of the spirits and the stories of their power. Zira found Mama Tanda sitting outside her hut, surrounded by colorful flowers. "Hello, Zira," Mama Tanda greeted her with a warm smile. "I heard about your flight. You did very well." "Thank you, Mama Tanda," Zira replied, feeling shy. "But I still don't understand why I have wings. What am I meant to do?" Mama Tanda nodded thoughtfully. "Your wings are a gift, Zira. They connect you to the spirits. They give you strength and freedom, but they also come with a responsibility. You must listen to the spirits and find your path." Zira listened carefully. "How do I do that?" Mama Tanda smiled gently. "You must go on a journey. Travel to the sacred mountain where the spirits gather. There you will find answers. But remember, the journey may not be easy." Zira felt both excited and scared. The sacred mountain was far from the village, and she had never traveled that far before. But she knew she had to go. That evening, Zira told her parents about her decision. Layla looked worried but understood. "Be careful, my daughter," she said. "The world can be dangerous, but you are strong and you have your wings." Juma smiled and added, "We will always support you, Zira. Follow your heart." The next morning, Zira packed a small bag with food and water. She wore a simple dress and tied her hair back. As she stood at the edge of the village, she took a deep breath and spread her wings wide. "I can do this," she whispered to herself. With one last look at her home, Zira took off into the sky. The wind rushed past her as she flew toward the sacred mountain. As Zira soared higher, she felt the warmth of the sun on her face. The world below was beautiful, with green fields and flowing rivers. She flew over the trees and saw the village growing smaller. After a while, Zira landed on a rocky ledge to rest. She took a sip of water and looked around. The sacred mountain was still far ahead, but she could see its peak rising above the clouds. She felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. As she continued her journey, Zira met a group of animals along the way. A wise old tortoise stopped to speak with her. "Where are you going, young one?" he asked. "I'm going to the sacred mountain to find out why I have wings," Zira replied. The tortoise nodded. "The spirits will guide you, but remember to stay true to yourself. Your heart will show you the way." Zira thanked the tortoise and continued on her path. She flew over rivers and valleys, feeling more confident with each passing moment. As night fell, she found a safe place to rest. Zira spread her wings around her like a blanket and closed her eyes. She dreamed of flying high above the mountains, surrounded by the spirits. The next day, Zira woke up early. The sun was rising and she felt refreshed. She could see the sacred mountain much closer now. With a determined heart, she took to the skies again. As she approached the mountain, Zira noticed a beautiful glow at its peak. It looked like the sun was shining just for her. She felt a pull in her heart, urging her to go higher. Finally, Zira reached the top of the sacred mountain. The view was breathtaking. She could see the entire land below, and the wind was strong and steady. Zira stood tall, feeling a connection to everything around her. "Spirits, I am here," she called out, her voice echoing through the air. "Please show me my purpose!" For a moment, there was silence. Then, a gentle breeze surrounded her, and Zira felt warmth in her heart. She closed her eyes and listened carefully, ready to learn. As Zira stood on the peak of the sacred mountain, she felt a warm breeze wrap around her like a soft hug. She closed her eyes and listened closely. The whispers of the spirits filled her ears, telling her stories of strength, bravery, and love. "Zira," a gentle voice called out. It felt like the wind itself was speaking to her. "You were born with wings to inspire others. You have the power to connect the people of your village to the spirits of the mountains." Zira opened her eyes, filled with understanding. The spirits were showing her the way. She had wings, not just for herself, but to help others see the beauty in the world around them. "Your journey has just begun," the voice continued. "You will teach others to believe in themselves and to follow their dreams. Your heart will guide you, and your wings will help you soar." Zira smiled, feeling a sense of purpose fill her. She had always dreamed of flying, but now she realized it was about more than just her. It was about her community, her family, and her connection to the spirits. As she prepared to leave the mountain, the spirits gifted her a small feather from an eagle. "Keep this close," they said. "It will remind you of your journey and your duty to share your gifts with others." With the feather tucked safely in her dress, Zira took to the skies once more. She felt lighter and more powerful than ever. She flew over the land, looking down at the villages and fields below, knowing she was meant to bring hope and strength to her people. When Zira returned to her village, everyone gathered to see her. They had watched her fly and were amazed by her courage. Zira stood before them, holding the eagle feather high. "I have learned much on my journey," she began. "The spirits have shown me my purpose. I am here to help all of you. We can be strong together and believe in our dreams." The villagers listened, their faces filled with hope. Zira shared her stories of the sacred mountain and the power of the spirits. She encouraged them to follow their own dreams and to trust in their abilities. From that day on, Zira became a leader in her village. She taught the children how to fly with their imaginations, how to dream big, and how to believe in themselves. The villagers learned to connect with nature and the spirits around them. Zira often flew high above the village, her wings shining in the sunlight. She felt joy in her heart knowing she was fulfilling her purpose. The village thrived, filled with laughter and dreams, all because of the girl who was born with the wings of an eagle. As the sun set each evening, Zira would look up at the sky, grateful for the journey she had taken. She knew that her wings were a gift, but the true gift was the love and strength she could share with others. And so, Zira lived a life filled with adventure, wisdom, and hope, knowing that she would always soar high above, inspiring those around her.